Guys, welcome to this free course. In this free course, we will teach you about the Postman. Okay, so in this course, totally for free, we will going to guide you about the basics of Postman. Okay, where we will going to guide you about the API testing and plenty of other different topics with the real examples. Okay, so if you are interested to watch this free course of Postman, so make sure please watch it. And the best thing is that we will going to use the power of ChatGPT in this free course, so you will going to get idea that how utilizing the AI tools like ChatGPT we can just use it for the Postman to solve some problems, to learn something new, or to solve any errors. So that thing we will also going to teach you practically how to do that. Okay, and also in this free course we will also going to tell about our another free course. Okay, so inside this course we will going to learn about that. So in case if you don't know about anything or anything about the basics of, let's say, API, how API works, each and everything, so that thing also we will going to talk about in this free course. Okay, so do not worry about anything, but make sure that watch this free course from starting to end. It will really going to help you out. So before we just proceed with this course, I just want to say you that of course in this course we will going to discuss about the API and Postman and all those things. Okay, but there can be possibility that you may be totally new in the field of API. Okay, so in case if you are not aware about API, you are totally beginner, you are non-tech, you are coming from a non-tech background and you don't have any single idea about any technical stuff, and even you don't know about API. So it's very much important to first understand the basics. Okay, basics, it's very much important to understand, like what is an API, client, servers, application, what is the concept of sending request, what does that mean, what does the response means. Okay, and along with that you should understand that how API works as well. That is also important, and along with that you should know that when we try to connect something, what are the things required, like API URL, key, token, and what are the different types of API, base URL and endpoints. Okay, what are the different HTTP method. So my friend, all these things are very much important to understand. Okay, before we just go to the Postman and all. So basically we have created our free course. Okay, where you will just going to learn all these things, okay, from scratch. Okay, so it's very simple. What you can do now is that you can just open your browser, any browser, and just search for KuKu courses. Click on enter, just search for this KuKu courses. You will going to see this website, that is kukucourses.com. Just go to this website, amazing website, and this course is available for you for free. Just scroll down at very bottom. You will going to see the option of a free courses. Click on this free courses. Okay, and after you will do that, you will going to see this API guide for absolute beginners. Otherwise you can just search here API. Okay, and then you will going to see this free course API guide, or you can scroll down and see API guide for absolute beginners. So this is a complete free course. Click on this course, just close the ad. Okay, and this course is 2 hours, and in this course we have exactly taught you all these things about this, what is server, client, API, and all these things has been covered in this complete 2 hours free course. Okay, so it's my recommendation that if you don't know about anything about the API, okay, you're totally beginner, absolute beginner, so just come to this particular course. Okay, and click on this start learning button. You do not need to do any kind of a sign up or put any credit card details. It's very simple. Just click on the start learning button and the course will start here. Now just click on this play button. Hey guys, welcome to this free. So you can see that whatever we are showing you in the presentation, so all these things are covered in this course. Okay, 2 hours course. So it's my recommendation that you guys just go to this course and watch this course from starting to end. So in case if you don't have any idea, so everything is covered in this conceptual course step by step as a practical example. Okay, and that is what I recommend you. Even if you know about something, so I still recommend you guys to go ahead and watch it. Okay, because in this Postman course we will not going to cover all this basic thing, because this is a complete 2 hours stuff. Okay, if I just try to teach you all these things again, it will just going to take another 2 hours. Okay, so I just do not want to do that. So for that I created one separate course. It's totally free. You can just watch it first of all starting to end, and then you can just proceed with watching this course. Okay, because if you are maybe watching from our website, or maybe let's say Udemy or any other website, let's say Udemy free course duration policy. Okay, so you can see that they do not allow the free courses to be, let's say, more than 2 hours, right? This is basically all the big company policy, that when we provide the courses to them, they do not allow to put 2 hours courses, more than 2 hours courses. Okay, and this basics will only going to take around 2 hours. So that's why I just put this course to my own website. Okay, you can just watch it for free, and then you can just come here and continue this course here. Okay, and that is what I recommend, and you will going to understand each and everything about HTTP and everything inside this course. Okay, so make sure that just go there and please watch that free course we have in the website, then only continue with the course. And even if you know about the basics, maybe if you know about the basics of API, so still if you can watch this course, it will be more amazing, because there are a lot of hidden amazing secrets which we have discussed in the course itself. Okay, so that is what I just wanted to teach you here. Okay, then only proceed with watching this course. Now we will going to discuss about ChatGPT. Okay, so for this course it's very much important that you should have the ChatGPT. Now guys, ChatGPT is, by the way, very powerful. Okay, so throughout the course, maybe if you face some problems, some errors, so you can just discuss that with the ChatGPT. So if you are not aware what ChatGPT is, so ChatGPT is a chatbot. Suppose if I just write, hi, how are you, question mark, and when I will click on enter, so on the basis of our prompt, the question, it will just going to give you the response. Okay, that's very powerful. And the best thing about ChatGPT is that it will always going to remember the history. That means, for example, if I say that how many states US has, question mark. Okay, and click on enter, now it will going to say that the United States has 50 states. Now see, if just see the one thing, now I'm just telling it to name them. Okay, question mark. Now I'm not mentioning that basically I want that ChatGPT to tell me the name of all the 50 states United States has, but I'm not telling to ChatGPT directly that you have to name me all the states, 50 states of United States. So you can see I just said name them. So basically ChatGPT will use the common sense, and it knows that okay, at the above conversation we are talking about the United States, and I just told the name them, so it used the common sense and it is giving you the response that is related to the United States. So this is basically the power of ChatGPT, and it's very powerful. It has amazing knowledge. Okay, and along with the knowledge, it also has the memory. This is the reason it can just store the previous conversation, and according to that, it will just going to give you the best response. So it's very much important to have ChatGPT, and this is what we will going to use for this Postman guide. Okay, so you can see here, you can see all the history. Let's click on this plus button, and here we will going to discuss. Okay, here you can open the new chat, and here in the message you can just write like whatever I'm writing, you can just write the same thing. Hey, you are an expert in API testing and Postman. You have 20 years of experience in this field. Okay, you are really good at teaching and solving any problem related to this field. Okay, now your job is to help me with learning, learning these topics, and in case in future if I face any trouble, so you have to help me out. So have you understood your job, question mark. Okay, so you just have to write this thing to ChatGPT and then click on enter button, and you will see the response. And you can see that it said that okay, it understand the plan. So basically we have now programmed ChatGPT to help us with the API testing and Postman. So maybe in case if you don't understand, let's say API, okay, so suppose till now I assume that you guys have watched the free course which we have. Okay, so suppose in case if you don't understand, let's say any topic, let's say what is, let's say API, question mark. Okay, so chat, you can just take the help of chat gpt. Maybe it can be possible that you may have some doubt, some problem, and of course this is a free course, so plenty of other students will going to watch this course. Okay, so from our point of view it is not possible for us to solve the problem or questions you have. So that's the reason we tell students to use chat gpt for their doubts. So in future if you have any doubts, any problem, any errors, so you can just tell to chat gpt, it will just going to solve you with this. Okay, and you can see that when you ask it, it has just given you the same thing. Okay, now suppose you can just say it like this. Suppose you can say, hey, what you explain above I still did not understand. Okay, so can you explain me what API is in more easiest way with examples? Okay, like this. Okay, uh, assume you are teaching to 12 years non-tech children. Okay, so you can always say like this as well. So in case if you don't explain, don't understand the above stuff, so you can just say to ChatGPT, hey, still I haven't understood, teach me like you are teaching to a 12 years old kid who don't have any tech background. So now you will see the response will be very basic. Okay, so even a 12 years old student can understand. Now you can see this trying to explain you the power, the concept of API with some real life example like restaurant and all. So this is the reason I suggest students, along with any topic, use ChatGPT. Okay, for the free courses. And of course you will going to watch this course, so you will better going to understand each and everything. Just for an example, I just told you that this is the way you can just utilize the ChatGPT. Okay, and in future if you face any problem, so at that time ChatGPT will going to solve you that. We will going to see that later on, but make sure that you should have ChatGPT. In case if you don't have any ChatGPT account, so you can just search for ChatGPT, click on enter, you will just going to see this chatgpt.com. Just go to this domain and click on this sign up button. It's totally free for you to sign up. Okay, and use the ChatGPT. Just sign up with email, Google or Apple, Microsoft, and then it will ask you for the phone number. Just put your phone number and sign up for absolutely free, and this is where you will come up here. Okay, we will going to discuss about the new concept, that is the API testing. So before we just understand what Postman is, okay, we will first going to understand the API testing, what API testing is all about. And I assume that you have watched our free course. Okay, then only you will better going to understand, in case if you don't know about the basics of API and all. But let's just proceed after this. Okay, HTTP method we have discussed till HTTP method in this free course. Okay, so after the HTTP method we will going to discuss about API testing. Now what API testing is, so in very simple, you all know that there is one client. Okay, now it can be maybe Python or any client. Okay, and you all know that there is one server. Okay, so sometimes what happen is that we just try to send the request. Okay, so with the power of API testing, what we want to do is that you can only see the name API testing. That means you are just testing API whether it's working absolutely fine or not. Okay, so this is the very simple example of what API testing is. So API testing means testing whether API is working and giving the correct response or not. So for that reason we use API. Okay, name only suggesting API testing. That means whatever API we are running, so we are just testing that API whether that is working absolutely fine or not. Okay, and you all know that when the client basically send the request to the server, and in return server return back the response to us. Okay, so that is what we discussed till now. Awesome. So we just have to verify in the API testing that when the client send the request and when the server send the response back. Okay, so whether this response is giving us the correct data or not. Okay, so this is what API testing is all about. So we just test that the response is basically correct or not. So this is what we basically discuss in the API testing. That's it. So this is the concept of API testing. Okay, and of course you can always ask to ChatGPT as well, like, hey, similarly, can you explain me API testing? Okay, concept question mark, and then it will just going to give you the response as well, right? But we have already taught you this thing, but in case if you still want to go with more examples and more, okay, so you can just use the chat gpt. It will now try to give you the examples in the very easiest way, so that the 12 years old kid can also understand that. Okay, you can say with examples, right? So let's not go with that, but in simple, whatever we taught you in the presentation, so this is what API testing is, and this is where we use API testing. Okay, now we will going to understand what Postman is, and what and basically how we can download it. But in simple, Postman is a tool that help us to do the API testing. That means with Postman you can basically send the request to the server, and then the server will going to give you the response. So you can check whether the response the server is giving is coming correctly or not. Okay, or if there will be some error, and all that thing you can basically do with the help of Postman. Okay, and let's see now how you can just download the Postman. Guys, we will going to talk about the errors in API. Okay, in API. So there can be some error as well. For example, let's say right now we have set up the Postman. This is how your Postman will going to look like. In your case, it may be only one workspace. Do not worry. You can just see the option of a workspace, and from the top, you can create a new workspace. But right now you do not have to do anything. You just have to follow me, because I will teach you one new concept here. Okay. So see, basically whenever we try to send the request. Okay, okay, So when we just try to send the request, so at that time what happened is that there can be some errors. Okay, so there can be some mistakes. So maybe let's say you as a client from the Postman. Okay, so Postman is now our application one. So we just send the request with the Postman, okay, to the server. So the thing here is that server will going to process this request and it will going to send the response. Now if this response is successful, okay, that means it will just going to give you the response successful. So you will going to get the code like, let's say, 200 code, or it can be, let's say, 201 to 202, but basically in the category of 200. Okay, it can be 200, 201, 2, 3, whatever it is. So it denotes that the response which we have got is successful. For example, wait, just let me just teach you. I'm just giving you with one example. Okay, so suppose if I just go here and if I just run any request, now I'm sending it and you can see it's showing 200. Okay, that means request is successful. Here you can just read the description that the response is now successful. So now that means the server has given us the response successful without any problem, and whatever request which we have sent to the server, it is also correct, and the response which we got from the server is also correct. So it will show you the successful code 200. Okay, but there can be some other problems as well, like this is the first one. So wait, let me just put this to the green color, but there can be some problem. Okay, like the problem can be from the client side. Okay, so this is known as client error. So client error code will be something like 400 or 401, 402, 403, 404. It can be any, but it will be always in this line of 400. Okay. So whenever you will going to receive any of this thing, okay, so it will be in the 400 category. Okay, and that will going to denote that will going to denote that the problem is from the client side, from the Postman. Maybe suppose I'm sending some request, okay, and maybe I done something wrong. Okay, suppose I haven't defined the key. Okay, suppose I haven't defined the key. Okay, and I'm trying to send it, and you will going to see that it showed me 401. Why? It is saying that this problem is from our side as a client, the person who is using the Postman. So they have done something wrong, or maybe they haven't put anything, like in our case we haven't put the key. So without key we are sending the request, so it is saying the response. Here you can see at the bottom it will show you the response, and it will going to give you the reason that there is invalid key here. That means there's the problem from the client side. Okay, and this is what you can see. Okay, so whenever you send the request to the server, and in while sending the request, maybe if you have done something wrong, okay, so it will always going to show the error. Okay, it will be in 400 category, like right now it's shown the 401. That is what we said, it can be 401 or 400 or 402, 3, and so on, anything. Okay, but always remember, if it shows some error like 400, so that means you have done some mistake from, if you're using the Postman. So from Postman, while sending the request, you have done something wrong. Maybe you haven't provided the correct API URL or any thing which you have done, but the mistake is from your end. Okay, so in that case it will just going to show you the 400 error. Okay, the client error, that means from the client side the error has been created. Okay, and let's say similarly, suppose sometimes this can happen that there can be some server error. Okay, there can be some server error. So if there will be some server error, so at that time it will going to show something like 500, 501, 2, 3, 4, anything, but it will be in 500 category. Okay, so if anytime you send the request, and in there if it shows something like 500 501, so that means the problem is from the server. Okay, so whatever server you are using or trying to connect your API, so from their end there is some problem. Like if you remember that if you have watched our free course, okay, in our website, so here we have just given you the example of a airline, where we just said that if this you can see that this is the server, let's say, okay, which we are using. So sometimes the problem can be from, let's say, Indigo. Okay, so what will going to happen is that Make My Trip will going to send the request to the Indigo Airlines, and because it has some problems, so it will not going to give the response correctly. So the same response the Make My Trip will going to give to the client, and it will show that there is some problem in the server side. So because of that, you will not going to get the response. Okay, so this is all about the errors, okay, which we have, or you can say the status code errors in API. So generally speaking, there are only two types. One will be the successful. Like suppose if I just put here, let's say again, okay, if I just put here the key, okay, now if I just try to run it, it is showing 200. That means it's working correctly, successful. Okay, so in the successful case, when and the successful will only be happen when the client has put all the details correctly while sending the request, and server has also given the correct response. So at that time only the request, or I can say the status, will be successful, and it will show in the 200 category. But if you have done some mistake from the Postman, okay, so in that case it will show 400, and there can be some server error sometimes, or sometimes there can be the hosting problem. Maybe whatever VPS this server are using, whatever web hosting this server are using, so from their side from their side the hosting has some problem, so because of that the server may be down. Okay, so in that case it will just going to show the server error as 500, or 5, or inside the 500 category. Okay, 500, 501, 2, 3, and so on. So this is about the errors, status code errors in the API. Let's try to understand the Postman UI. Okay, so just open the Postman, and this is how your Postman will going to look like. Okay, now if I just click on the home, so maybe when you are using it first time, so this is how your home page will going to look like. And one more thing, that Postman always change the interface. Okay, but whatever concept which I am teaching you, it will be 100% same. Okay, so maybe last time the workspace option was at the top, but now they just moved that option to here. So these are the small changes they can do. Okay, so they will just going to change some small things here and there, but the concept will be 100% same, which I am trying to teach you. So right now you will going to see current workspace. If you will see here the options at the top, it is showing the all the workspace. In your case, it can be only my workspace by default. Okay, but you can create your own workspace. So you can just click on this create workspace and click on the blank workspace. Click on the next button. Okay, and let's say you can just say like maybe you can also make it to personal or public, so anyone can use your workspace. But if you want for your team members, or if you want for your partners and team members, you need to purchase their premium version. But we will go with the personal one. Okay, so I can just say for maybe teaching, you can just name it whatever you want. Okay, like teaching, click on create button, and you can see that you have created one new workspace. Now if you just go to the home again, now you will going to see here the workspace. So now your teaching workspace is here. So from here you can just go to any workspace you have. So currently we have created this teaching workspace, so I will click on this teaching workspace, and I will just come to this type of a dashboard. Now maybe in future if you are watching this course, and maybe interface may go little bit change, but the concept will be 100% same. Okay, so the concept here, my friend, is very simple. you will going to see this plus button. So from here you can just click on this plus button, and from here you can just change the name. You can just select the http method. Remember the http method we just taught you, different http method: post, get, delete, put. Okay, so everything we just taught you in this free course, by the way. Okay, but you can just select any http method, whether the post, it can be maybe delete or anyone. Okay, now here remember that we just taught you in the free course that we need to put the API URL. Okay, and all these things we just get it from the server: API URL, API key, or some can even ask you the token. So all this information are required so that you can just connect your client, that is the Postman, which is this one. And if you want to connect your Postman to maybe any other server, okay, any other server, it can be any server: Facebook server, OpenAI server, or Trello server, or any server. So if you want to just connect or build the connection between the Postman and the server, you need all these details like API URL, key, and token. Okay, so this API URL will going to come up here. Okay, in this URL you can see here it's written enter URL. So here you just have to paste the URL, the API URL. And you all know that we just taught you that API URL has two type of thing, that is the base URL and the endpoint. Okay, so I suppose that you already know what the base URL endpoint is. If you don't have any knowledge about this, so this is the reason I told you to watch this free course. Okay, so you will basically understand each and everything, by the way. Okay, so basically whenever we put here any URL, so it will just going to contain the base URL plus endpoint. Okay, so till now it's very much simple and easy. Okay, then here you can just pass some parameters. Okay, you have some headers. It is by default created, okay, by Postman. You don't have to do anything for now here. And in authentication you can just authenticate. Okay, there are plenty of methods. You remember that in the authentication method, in the this API keys and authentication procedure, we just told about you need the authentication. Okay, to build the connection between the client, that is the Postman, and between the server. So you can use various methods. There are plenty of them, like bearer token is very common, basic code, and all these things. Okay, so this is the way. From here you can just connect the client and the server together if you are doing the authentication. Okay, rest no problem. Then we do have the body. So in body basically you provide the server more information. So whenever we send the request, okay, so whenever we just send any request to the server, so in the send request with the HTTP method, we just do provide a lot of other data, like, wait, let me just show you. So whenever we just send the request to the server, okay, so along with this request we also can provide some data. Let's say it can be header data, okay, and body data. Okay, so that the server will going to get more clarity of what exactly you want. Okay, so suppose just with a very basic metaphor example. Suppose if I just show you with, let's say, Apple. Okay, let's say suppose server has the Apple data, how many Apple the server has. Okay, and similarly let's say how many banana server has. Okay, so server basically has all this data. So basically whenever you send the request to the server, so with the help of either header and footer, you can just specify more detail like what exactly you want. So suppose if you are saying that we want to know that how many apples we have, so server will basically going to work and specify, because you have specified that I am only interested in apple. So server will now going to only specify and work on the apple, and it will going to say that the server has two apples. Okay, so in the response it will going to show that there are two apples. Okay, in the response it will just going to show that there are two apples. So the purpose of this header and body is to basically provide the server with more details about what response we actually want. Okay, so for that purpose we use this header and body, and from here basically you can see it can be some raw data. In general case we use this raw data. It can be in the form of the JSON and XML. Okay, so JSON is basically very common, JavaScript and all. Okay, so with if I just put here some JSON uh, data. Okay, so basically you can just specify that here basically you can just give more details to the server. Okay, from here. Okay, now let's not go there right now. Okay, but from the body and the header you can just provide more information, and of course with the parameters as well. Okay, so in the with let me just write here parameters. So from the para, header and body you can basically provide more in-depth request to the server. Okay, that's it. Now the settings, and of course we have a script. Now the pre-request is basically a place where you can get the response before it will going to launch the request. Okay, and post response is basically when you get the response from the server. So after that this activity is performed. So basically useful for the automation, and if possible we will going to go with the automation as well. Okay, so at that time we will going to discuss about that. Okay, but in general the script help you for that thing. Okay, then we do have the setting. So basically these settings are related to this specific request only. Okay, so let's not go with that right now. Okay, so this is all about the Postman, and in case let's say if you want to know about anything, so what you can do is that you can just take the screenshot of it. You can just go to ChatGPT. You can just share the screenshot to ChatGPT like this. Okay, whatever screenshot you have taken. Okay, and you can just say to ChatGPT like, "Hey, I am in Postman. So can you tell me, let's say you want to learn about, let's say, parameters. Okay, me about uh, parameters. Okay, in detail. But for now, basically you don't need to go to very in-depth detail, but I'm just giving you the idea how basically you can utilize ChatGPT. Okay, so in case if you want, but for now you do not have to very understand about these things. At the coming time we will going to explore all these uh, settings. But in case if you are interested to know in very in depth, you can just go with and go and learn with the chat gpt, by the way. But this is all about the UI of Postman. Okay, and we will going to discuss about more settings as we will going to go further. Okay, we will going to cover a real practical example. Okay, so you all know about this website, that is http bin. Click on enter button and you will going to see this http.bin.org website. Okay, just go to this website. Now after you will come to this website, this is how it looks like. Okay, so we will going to take this website as a practical example. So right now if you will going to see in the presentation that our client is our computer, of course, and the application is the Postman. And right now we are using the server as http bin. Okay, and http bin will be the website or you can just say like application 2. Okay, nothing complicated till now. Now we will going to access to the http bin server, okay, with the help of api. Okay, and we also just taught you about the concept of base URL. Remember the base URL, and we just told you the endpoint. So we just taught you that whatever the base URL you have, okay, so every server provides you with different base URL, okay, and you just have to attach the endpoint at the end of the base URL. Suppose this is a base URL, so till now the base URL will be common everywhere. Okay, like here also you can see the same base URL is here, but at the end we just add the endpoint, okay, which will make it unique. Okay, and when this base URL and endpoint you will just going to add together, it will become the API URL, which you can just put it here. So keeping this concept in mind, okay, keeping this concept in mind, if we just go here to API URL, so if you will just go to the http bin server, and you will going to notice here the base URL. So this is the base URL. Simple, just put it here. Suppose, wait, okay, wait, let me just, okay, so this is basically the base URL. Okay, this is a base URL, and the server only given us this, and this is what we taught you, that server will only going to provide you the API URL, key and token, each and everything. Okay, so now this is just the base URL, and here you just have to add the endpoint as well. Now if you will just go to the server, and here you can see, if you just open any one, here you can see different HTTP method. Let's say delete, get, patch, put, post, and so on. Now suppose if I just open this delete one, so you can further see about this. Okay, so here you can see this is the endpoint slash delete. Okay, so if you will just going to put here slash delete, okay, so this will become your complete API URL. Okay, so it has till this point the base URL, and then you have added this endpoint. This will basically add up together, and it will become the API URL. So if you will just copy this, and you all know that we have to put the API URL here in the Postman, so you just have to put this way, and make sure that you have to select the HTTP method as the delete. Okay, so if I just select, let's say, delete, that's it. Now another thing is that it is saying that no parameters required. So here in the parameters, you do not require to put anything. Okay, because this is what this documentation is telling you. So guys, whenever we just talk about any API which you want to use, so always remember, suppose we are using Trello API, and if you will just going to go to their documentation, suppose, wait, this one. Now here also you will basically going to see how to use them. Okay, it will just going to tell you, each server will going to tell you how to use their API, and that is known as documentation. Okay, so every API, every server API will going to provide you the documentation, where they will going to tell you that how you have to use their API. So suppose the board one. So suppose in the Trello API, they just say that if you want to, let's say, delete a board, so you just have to provide the ID in the parameter and so on, and the response will be success, like this. So every server provides the documentation which you have to follow to use the API. Okay. So in this delete case, you can see that there is no parameter, and it is saying that the content type is always the application or JSON. So after you will, it is saying that after you will send the request, the response you will going to get is 200, and the description will be this one. Let's see how it goes. Click on this send button. Okay, base URL and all. Let's click on this send button, and you can see we got the 200 success message, right? So in this way you guys can send the request. Okay, so it's very simple. Okay, so hope you guys are now understanding that whatever we have learned in the concepts here about base year and HTTP, now you are actually applying that. Okay, and slowly and gradually you will going to understand each and everything. So this is where you just have to understand that when with Postman we just send from this part. Okay, so at the top box you are saying, so this is where we just set up the request, and then from here we just send the request to the server. And when server give us the response, so at the bottom you can see this is where the server give us the response. Okay, now in the body, okay, you can just see it in the raw way and so on, but pretty is basically what we use it in the JSON format. Okay, now what is JSON and all, we will going to discuss that. Okay, and these are the cookies headers, and this is by default generated by the Postman itself. Okay, so this is basically the response. Okay, and in this way we just send the first request, okay, with the Postman. Understand about the new concept, that is the JSON, okay, and XML you can say. Okay, now my friends, see, this is basically the world map. Okay, and suppose this is, let's say, India, and this is where we have the Russia. Or let me just take you with the real world map. Okay, okay, so suppose that we have this world map. Okay, now in this world map you can see there are different countries. Now if you will going to notice, let's say the here we have, let's say, Russia, here we have India, here we have China, right? And similarly there are plenty of different countries. So the problem right now is that the in India people basically they speak in Hindi language, but India people also know the English language. Okay, now similarly with Russia, so in Russia they basically talk in Russian language, but they also know English. Similarly in China they just talk in Chinese, okay, their Chinese language, but they also aware about the English language. So if any country will going to talk in their main language, for example, in India, Hindi is being spoken. So if any Indian will go to the Russia and they try to speak in their Hindi language, so Russians will not be able to understand. Similarly, if Russians will going to try to speak in Russian, okay, in China, so China people or Chinese people will not be able to understand that. Okay, so language is a big barrier. But if you will going to notice that English is the language which is spoken in India, Russia, China, and majority of the countries. So English is that language. Even the course which you are listening right now, it's also in English. And maybe if you are from, let's say, different countries, you are watching this course, so you can understand that English is a very common language which is understood and spoken by almost all of them. So similarly, guys, there are many problems. Suppose you can see that we can have, let's say, Python, okay, and Python want to speak with, let's say, Java, okay. We have, the Java language and the Python. So Python language is different and Java language is different. Like Russia, India, and Chinese people, they all have the different language. So similarly, Python has different language, Java has different language. But like in all these countries, English is the common language. So basically the same we have here with the JSON and XML. So JSON and XML is that language which is understood by all the servers, all the different languages. Basically everything over the internet understand the JSON and XML language. So this is basically what JSON and XML is all about. And here you guys can see basically the JSON looks like this. You can see under the curly bracket, you will going to have your data. Okay. So this is how basically JSON looks like, and majority of the people basically talk about the JSON only. And the time when I'm recording it, JSON is very popular as compared to the XML. Hardly few people use XML, but JSON is broadly used, and this is what we will going to cover in this course as well. So, but just understand the JSON and XML is that language which is being used by all the languages. And if we just talk about the APIs, okay, so API use this language only. So you all know that we just told you about this thing, that API basically connects to application, okay, where the client send the request and server send the response in the form of JSON data. Okay, so this type of data in the form of JSON data, which is broadly used. It can be XML as well, okay, but JSON is very common. Okay, so this is what this JSON and XML concept is all about. Now, guys, we will going to talk about the get. Okay, so this is for the delete one. Let's just click on this plus button. So every time when you will click on this plus button, so it will just going to open the new one. And here again, remember the base URL we do have. Okay, like here, wait, let me just show you. Like here, the base URL, new API URL, okay, which we have created. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, so here remember that this was the base URL and the type was put. Okay, okay, and it was for delete. Now similarly, we just want the client to send the HTTP request. Okay, and this time we want it to get the information from the server. Okay, so in this case, what will going to happen, you all know that till this part, this is the base URL. I will just going to copy the base URL, okay, till this one, and again I will going to paste the base URL. Okay, okay, and after the base URL, you all know that we just have to add the endpoint to it. Okay, so what will be the endpoint right now? Let's try, let's say with get. I will open the get, and in the get you can see this is the get parameter. So you just have to write here get. Okay, that's it. And the type will be, that is HTTP method will be get. Okay, so here by default get is selected. Now just whatever URL it is, so just copy this URL and just paste it over here get, and it's saying that again no parameter is required. Okay, okay, no parameter is required. Now the concept which we are trying to teach you here will be about the parameters. Now these parameters, whatever parameters you will going to add, it will all be added to the URL, that is query parameters. Now suppose if I just write here name, now just see the notice here, it's put the question mark name. Now I will put the value. What will be the value? So suppose if I put my name Kunal, so just focus on the URL Kunal. So it is saying the parameter name, okay, it's one variable and the value of that variable is Kunal. Okay, simply think it like a box. Okay, this variable is like a box. Okay, and the name of the box is name. Okay, and inside this box we have to put something, so we just put Kunal, and that is what it is saying. The name is the variable, and inside this variable we have Kunal as a name. Now just again notice, if I put the second variable, it will just going to put and. See, age, it put and age. My age is 23. What is my height? Okay, so this will again just going to put the parameter height is 5.5, right? So this is basically the query parameters. Query means question mark. Okay, so it will just going to add the question and it will just going to pass all the parameters here, like name, parameter, age and all, right? So this is what it is. Okay, so okay, so you similarly what you guys can do is that in the URL you can also just directly go to the URL. So whatever I will going to remove, it will be removed. So you can just put, let's say, question mark. So you can see automatically this is created. Now I can, let's say, put name. It put the name. So you can also put this here as well, or you can manually write to the, you know, API URL. Okay, name equals to Kunal. Okay, so basically the query parameters you can just pass after you will going to put the endpoint. So here you just have to put question mark and then you just have to pass the query parameters. Okay, so this is how the query parameters looks like. Question mark, my name is Kunal, and I will going to put end sign, another one will be created, and my age equals to 23. Okay, then again I will put end, and let's say status, or let's say active. Am I active? Equals to true. Yes, I am active, like this. Now if you just try to send it, you can sit pass, and whatever parameters you will going to pass, it will just going to show you in the response. Okay, so you just have sent from the client, that is through the Postman application. You just send the request to the server, and server has written back the response, and you can see in the response, in the arguments, you will just going to find all the parameters you have passed. Active, your age is 23, name is Kunal. That's it. Okay, so this is another thing we just want to teach you about the parameters. Guys, we just taught you about the authentications. Okay, so let me just remove all of them. Okay, so you can even untick any one which you do not want, like I did. Okay, now we are in the same HTTP method. Now in the authentication, there are plenty of authentication type. So I will just go with the, let's say, bearer token. There are plenty of options to, authorize, so you can use any one of them, but majority of them go with the bearer token. Okay, which is this one over here, and basically in the token you just have to provide the token which the server has given you. So in our example, we are using HTTP bin, and we have told you the server will only going to give us this API token as well. So you can see that right now the server, the client is asking for the token so that we can just get connect to that server. And we just taught you that we whenever we just use any client, let's say Postman is application, and when we want to connect that to the server, right now we have this as a server HTTP bin. But to connect the server and the client, we require all these things. Okay, it's not mandatory that every time you require the key. Some server will only going to provide you token, or let's say some will only going to provide you key. Some can even provide you both key and token. So it's depend upon the server. So server basically just generate as the, token. So right now, suppose the server, that is the HTTP bin, basically this is for the teaching purpose. Okay, so suppose it has generated some token. Okay, basically for teaching purpose, HTTP bin doesn't provide you basically the methods. Okay, but you can just put any URL. Okay, so suppose this is the token. So token looks something like this with various numbers and some code like this. Okay, So suppose this is our token, okay. So make sure that right now we are just playing and teaching, okay, just for learning. We are using HTTP pin, but basically here you just have to put the token, okay, and the token will going to look like URL or some characters or the mixture of some characters, words and numbers, okay, and you just have to paste it, okay. And when you will going to send the request, you can see that the response is 200. That means the response is successful, and we have successfully, you can see, connected uh, the HTTP bin website to our client, okay. So this is the power of, Postman. So from the authorization, you can just select any type. Okay, so the type you have to select basically as per what the server is providing you. So if server is only providing you, let's say the authentication option is only API token. So in that case, you can just use the bearer token, and whatever the value this server will going to provide, you just have to put that and click on the send button, and you can just connect it. That's it. Okay, so your client and server will be connected. Now they can just easily communicate with each other. So this is all about the authentication. Let's take with another example. So we just told you about the delete get. Now let's just click on this plus button. Okay, now let's just again go to the base URL. You remember, right, that we just have to put the base URL here, and then we just have to put the endpoint so that it will become the API URL. So let's just go with the post one. So I will just going to write post at the end. Awesome, like this. Okay, now this has become API URL, which consists of base URL and the endpoint. Now remember that this is the post, so the HTTP method will be post. So I will just put to the post. Now basically we use the HTTP method, remember, to create something in the server, okay. For now, let's just go to the body, and let's just go with the JSON example, the raw and the JSON, okay. So I just want to give the information to the server. So in the server, I want to just say that what is my ID and my username and what are my hobbies. So I just want to give this information to the server, okay. So I just want to request the server from my client, that is the Postman, that you have to add this data which I am providing you to the server, okay. So that server will going to create this data in the server, okay. Now whenever we just talk about the JSON, so remember that every time you can see that whenever you are getting the answer, it's always in the curly bracket, open curly bracket and close curly bracket. Same you can see here as well, open and close curly bracket. So we will just going to put the curly bracket open and click on enter button. It will go to the third line, and suppose I want to add the ID, okay. So what I will going to do is that in the codes, so you all can see here that you can see the text, you can see the text, like this is the text. So this is inside the codes, okay. So what I will going to do is that I will just going to, okay, wait, let me just okay. So first will be the ID. So I will put the codes and ID. Now what is my ID? Then colon, and my ID is, let's say, 1, okay, because this is a number. So in numbers you don't put quotes. If you know about a little knowledge about this, okay, click on first just put the comma, then click on enter button to go to next line, okay. Now another thing is that, let's say, user. So what is the username? So my name is, let's say, Kunal. So it's again in text. So I will just going to write Kunal, and I want to go to the next line. So I will just going to put the quotes at the end. click on enter. Now what are my hobbies? So I can just, hobbies can be, one person can have different hobbies, multiple hobbies. So I will just going to write here hobbies. Okay, then colon, and then space, and then in the big bracket, because this is a list, click on enter. Okay, and in the hobbies, let's say my hobbies is, let's say, programming. Okay, then I want to go to the next line, so comma, click on enter, and my another hobby is reading. That's it. So this is how you just have to write the JSON, you know, uh, format. Okay, and of course you can also take the help of ChatGPT. Okay, and you can just say to ChatGPT like, hey, I want to send one post request. Okay, with with let's say ID equals to, let's say, 1, sorry, oops, sorry, ID equals to 1, and shift and enter, the user equals to Kunal, shift and enter, and then hobbies equals to programming and, let's say, reading. Okay, so you can just say to ChatGPT, click on shift and enter. You can say, so convert above data in JSON. Okay, then click on the send button, and ChatGPT will just going to convert this to the JSON. You can see like this. Now you can just simply copy and you can just paste it here as well. Okay, so both ways I just taught you the way you can just use ChatGPT. Okay, now click on the send button, and you can see 200. Okay, success request, and you will going to see all this data here in the data. ID is 1, user is Kunal, hobbies programming and reading. So now this data is basically stored in the server. Okay, so right now we are using the HTTP bin server. So what we did is that as a client Postman, we just send the request HTTP and post. Okay, where we are, so you all know that when we use the post, so we want the server to create something. So that is what we are doing. So with the Postman, we are just sending the request HTTP method, post method, where we are telling the server to create some data. And I told you that when we send something in the request, so we just share it some parameters, headers and body. So right now we just shared the body. Okay, to give the server more information like what it want to is create. Okay, so in the body we just set it to create this ID, user and hobbies, and it the server has created something. So basically inside the server, now the server has this information that there is one ID 1, there is one user Kunal, and his hobbies are programming and reading. Okay, so this information is now stored in the server. So you can see that from your client, from your Postman, you are basically handling the server, what to create, what to delete, what to update. All these things you can do from the client. Okay, now we sometimes we want to test, okay, the result, whether what we are just trying to receive, are we getting that or not. So to test anything, you can just use the concept of script. In the script, you will see the pre-script and the post-script or post-response. So you have to go with now with the example of the post-response. And here you can just use some templates like, let me show you. Suppose we want to get, we just want to check whether we are getting that 200 success request or not. So you can put this one, the status code. Now we just want to check the status code is 200 or not. So we want the status code should be 200. Okay, so we just write it here. Now just see the response. If I just click on this send button, so here in the test result it will just going to say it's pass because we got here 200. And this status code is basically the text which you can see here. You can just write it whatever you want. For example, I can say check the status code like this. Now if you will just going to click on the send button, so here you can see it's pass, and it's saying this because it's pass with the name check the status code. Basically you can just put whatever name it is, but the main function is here whatever we want to check the status. So the status is 200, so that is what we want here. Okay, so suppose if I just put here, let's say 201, we want that 201 should come. Okay, so if you will just click on the send button, now it got failed. Why? Because what we expected to have the response 201, we have said that we want 201, and this is what you can see here, the reason we expected 201 but we got 200. You can see we got 200. So in this way, my friends, you can just test out anything. Okay, very amazing, right? Now similarly, let's say we can just test out some other things. Let's say this one, we can check whether in the content type. Okay, whether in the content type this content header should have the content type. Okay, in this header we should have this content type. Okay, let's see how it goes. If I just click on the send button, now you can see we got the two results. First one is for the status code, okay, script, and second one is for this one. Okay, so this script says that this content type should be present in the header. That means in the header you can see that this content type should be present in the header. Okay, now let's just go with the third one. Let's say we want to check the how many time it is taking for the API to execute. So that time takes here. So suppose if I just go with this one, response time is less than 200. Okay, so we want that the response time, we just written the text only that the response should be less than 200 milliseconds. Okay, so it should be below 200. Okay, so it should be below 200 here. Okay, below 200 milliseconds. Now if it will be below 200, so it will show pass, otherwise it will go fail. Click on send button, and you can see the third one, first two got pass and the last one got fail. Why fail? Because the time should be 200 but time it took is 1039. So this is what you can see in the result, that expected uh, we are expected to be below 200 but we got 1039. Okay, so this is the way you can just test out anything, okay, with the Postman. Okay, and suppose if I just say here, let's say 2000, we want that it should be 200 milliseconds. Okay, so here I will just going to say, let's say 2000 milliseconds. Okay, so if that time comes in less than 200 milliseconds, so it will be passed now. If I click on send, you can see the response time is now less than 200 milliseconds and it's passed. Wow, right? So this is how you can just test out anything here with the script. Now guys, we will going to talk about the PostScript more. Okay, so you have till now understood how we can test things. So we can also automate things. For example, what we can do is that we can create one variable. Okay, so just think it like you are just creating one box. Okay, a box. Wait, let me just. Okay, you basically, let's say you or container. Okay, let's say a kind of a bottle. Okay, So that bottle you can say it like a variable. Okay, variable in coding means a bottle. Okay, and inside this bottle what you want to put is that we want to have this variable as the JSON data. Okay, so basically what we want is that we want all the value which we have got here till now. You can see this is the complete, value we got. So we want it to get stored in this bottle. Okay, so what we will going to do is that we can just say like, you know JSON data. Okay, and then we can just say equals to, that means this JSON data should be equals to, okay, pm dot response, pm dot response dot JSON. Okay, dot JSON. Okay, like this. Okay. Okay, right. So this is what you have to do. Okay. So what we are trying to do is that we are just saying that we created one bottle name as JSON data. Okay, and we want that inside this JSON data bottle we should have all this value you can see in the response. We want to store this complete value inside this bottle. Okay, so that is what we said, that pm dot response JSON, that means this value should be inside this bottle. Okay, now what we can do now is that we can just go here and we can just say console dot log, and then we can just say, or we can just pass this data. So first we are testing whether this is working or not, so that's why we set the console.log. Now if you just click on this send button, so we just have to make sure that in the console it should appear. So you can see that in console that we are getting all this data, that means it's working successfully. Okay, let me just clear it and close it. Awesome. Now I can just remove this. Okay, so basically with this function what we did is that we created one bottle name as JSON data. Okay, and inside this JSON data bottle we just put the complete value, whatever value we got here we just put all that value here. Okay, that's it. And after that what we can do is that we can just do a lot of things. For example, we can just put pm means postman dot test. Okay, we are saying postman to test something, and in the bracket what we can do is that we can just say that JSON key should be present. Okay, we have created one new function, and you can just name it whatever you want, and we want that JSON key should be present. Okay, and for that we just writing this function. Okay, okay, and here we can just put pm dot expect. We are just saying postman to expect. Okay, postman to expect from this JSON data, from this JSON data. Okay, dot to dot have dot property. Okay, property, and what we want is that we want it to have the JSON. Okay, that's it. This is what we want it. Okay, nothing complicated, right? Wait, the JSON should be in the quotes. Okay, right, something like this. Wait, let me just cross check. Pm dot test JSON should be present. Okay, function we just put this one and then curly bracket, then pm dot expect JSON data to have the property known as the JSON. Okay, but still it's showing errors. What we can do is that we can just copy this, okay, like this, and we can always just use the ChatGPT. Okay, or wait, let me just try to put the colon. Okay, so still it's showing problem. So in ChatGPT we can just go and we can just say, hey, I put this script in Postman, correct it. Okay, like this. Oops, it's showing problem. Let's just create a new one. Okay. Okay, so it, you can see that whenever we face maybe any specific problem, okay, and you can just copy this, okay, and paste it over here. Now you can see the problem is solved. Okay, okay, we just forgotten to put this bracket. Okay, no problem, but the rest will be same. So what we are just trying to do is that we are just trying to make sure that the JSON should be present here. You can see this JSON. We want that in this data. Okay, you can see we are just saying to Postman to test whether this JSON is present here or not. We want it to see whether this JSON is present in this data or not. Okay, so we are saying Postman to expect that from this JSON data. Okay, so from this bottle, from this complete data, we want Postman to have this JSON element. Okay, let's see. Click on this send button. In the test, you can see that this JSON is available. Why available? Because here you can see this JSON is element is here. That's why. And now what we want is that we want that to see whether the ID is present inside the JSON or not. Okay. So how you will going to do this? Again, same thing. PM dot expect. Okay. PM dot expect. Then what you want? We want that we want the values which we want to expect in the ID. Okay, so we can just say like, you know, in brackets, value value of ID, okay, should be expected. Okay, like this. Okay, comma, you can just write the function. Okay, and after writing the function, you can just basically you know, put the brackets. Okay, because every time you just do this, we just have to put the brackets. Okay, and in the brackets you can just put curly brackets, and click on enter. Okay, wait, from here just click on enter button. Okay, and now what we want is that we want Postman to expect. Okay, we want again from the Postman to expect that from this JSON data. Okay, wait, okay, wait, okay, everything is good. Okay, from this JSON data, okay, from this JSON data to go to this. See, this is a complete JSON data from first point to the last. This is a complete JSON data. So from this JSON data, we want it to go to this JSON part over here. Okay, so we will going to write here dot JSON. Okay, now further we want to go to this specific ID. So I will just going to put this ID dot ID. Okay, now we want it to dot equals to. Okay, 2 dot equals to. Okay, wait, uh, mm, expect. Okay, everything is looking great. Okay, okay, to be equals to, let's say 1. Okay, and this is what we want here. Okay, now I guess again there is some problem with the code, so again just go to ChatGPT. Now correct this code. Okay, if there will be some minor error, pm dot expect. Okay. Okay, everything, let's just copy this one. Okay. But what is the difference basically? Pm dot okay, sorry, here we just forgetting to put the test, right? Pm dot test. Okay. This is what, sorry, we just forgotten. Pm dot text. Okay. And with okay. Okay, let's just copy the complete one. Okay, like this. Okay, so we want that if you can just remove this thing. Okay, if you don't want. Okay, so everything is now the same thing. Pm dot expect the JSON data to be equals to 1. We want that this value should be equals to 1. Now just see this, click on the send button, and now you can see that there is the id. Okay, and the value of the id is 1. Now suppose if I just put it to 2. Now just see, there will be problem. Click on this send, and you can see the second one got failed because the we expect it for 1, but we got it the 2. Okay, so that is what it is. Okay, basically we expected 2, but we got in the response 1. Okay. Now similarly, you can just go ahead with, let's say, extra one. Okay, like you can just now talk about, let's say, these hobbies. Okay, so how you will going to do same thing. Okay, pm dot test. Okay, pm dot text, then in brackets you can just name it whatever you want. For example, we want that hobbies should have expected value at index 0. Now index 0 means that we want that the JSON should go to these hobbies. Index 0 means it is talking about programming, and index 1 will reading, and index 2 will be another one, but right now we have only index 0. So index 0 is in first position, so that's why we want it to go with the 0. Okay, and then I will just put the comma. Okay, then after that just write the function. Okay, the function, and just put the brackets. Okay, put curly brackets, click on enter button. Okay, like this. And what we want postman to expect, postman to expect. Okay, from this JSON data, from this complete JSON data, from this complete JSON data, we are saying to the postman that you have to expect from this complete JSON data. We want to go to the JSON, specifically to JSON part. Okay, this part. So I will going to put a dot so that we can only go to this JSON, and inside JSON we only want to go to the hobbies part. So I will just going to put dot hobbies. Okay, hobbies, exactly this one. Okay, dot hobbies. Okay, and as you can see, the index we want to go with the 1. Okay, sorry, 0 here. Okay, so what we will going to put here in the big bracket, it will be 0. Then we want it to have uh, sorry, not here, here, dot 2 dot equal, you can see equal. Okay, equals to, in the brackets, let's say, programming. Okay, so we want that the index 0 should be equals to programming. Let's see, click on this send button, click on this test result. Okay, there is some syntax error. What that is, I'm not sure. I should go. Okay, I guess at the last we just have to close the curly brackets over here. Wait. Mm, okay. if it shows any problem, so always you guys can do that. Okay, otherwise no problem. Let's again go to the ChatGPT. Let's try to fix it. Fix this one. Okay. Mm, okay, so this is the correct one. I will just going to copy this and I will just going to paste it here. You can just remove this data one. Okay, that's it. Now just click on the send button, and now you will going to see the first one we just the third one we pass, because the index is showing here the 0 in the programming, so that's why. Okay, but suppose if I just say or put here the reading, so it will just go to the fields. I will just show you. You can see the third one also got failed, because it should be equal to programming, but it is basically it should equal to the reading, but we got in the body is programming, right? So basically index 0 should be equals to programming and index 1 should be equals to reading, but here we said that the index 0 should be equals to the reading. This is what we said, but the response we got is that programming. Okay, so this is what it is, by the way. Okay, so that's how you guys can just work around with this. Okay, and this is what it is. Okay, you can just use it for the automation. We're going to talk about the new concept, that is the collections. Okay, now what collections basically is all about. So collection means when you put, wait, let me just write for you. So collections means when you just put all the similar, similar, I can say, APIs to one collection, or a list is known as collection. Okay, so it's like a YouTube playlist. Suppose maybe you go to, let's say, YouTube. Okay, and in YouTube you can maybe search for, let's say, let's say, uh, KuKu courses. Okay, so you can just go to our website, and in the playlist you will going to notice that we have various playlists, and in each playlist we have multiple videos. So this playlist is related to ChatGPT tutorials. Now if you will going to see that in this playlist there are 21 videos. So if you will going to open this, and if you maybe open the playlist, so here you will going to see, here you will going to find all the tutorials that are related to ChatGPT. So same is with the API. So like in YouTube we have the playlist. Okay, so similarly in Postman we have the option of a collection. Okay, so basically in this collection option you can put all the similar API, like in playlist you put all the similar videos inside one playlist. So similarly in Postman we just put all the similar APIs, okay, to one collection. So suppose I click on this plus button and I click on this blank collection, and maybe I can name it, this was related to HTTP bin, right? So I can just put here, let's say, HTTP bin. So this is related to HTTP bin. Okay, so you can see that we got this collection, and now we have a lot of options, like here you can see post. Okay, so if you will see the post request, and if you want to save this inside this collection, so you have to click on this plus button. You can just name it, for example, let's say post. Okay, HTTP bin. Okay, so something like this, and where you want to save it, inside this collection. Okay, so you will go inside this collection and click on this save button. Now you will see that inside this collection we have got this request. Similarly you can just do it for others as well. For example, the get one, save it, automatically you can see it's already inside this http bin. Okay, so just go here and save it. Okay, so you can see, and similarly for the delete as well, let's save it. And you will going to notice that whatever API request is not saved, so it will just going to show this orange, you can see that orange dot, so that denotes that this API is not yet saved. Okay, and of course you can just change the name here as well. For example, from here we can name it like a get http bin, like that. Okay, so the name has changed. You can just close whatever you have saved, and for this delete one, just click on this save button, and you can see this teaching is your workspace. Remember the workspace you created, the teaching, and inside this teaching workspace you have created one collection, that is http bin collection. And inside this http bin collection you are just putting the request. Now this is related to delete. Okay, http bin. Okay, that's it. Now you can see that we have one complete collection, and you can just create as many as collection you want. Okay, now you can just mark it as a favorite. So sometimes this may happen that you have a lots of collection and you want to work to maybe some specific collection, so you can mark it the favorites. It will just going to show at very top. And if you will just going to click directly on the collection, so you will going to see the settings that are related to collection. If you will going to notice one thing, that in each http request, for example this post one, okay, so it also has all these things like authentications, uh, parameters. And in the collection level also you will going to see all these things like variable, okay, and script. So basically if you will put any settings in the collection level, so that settings will going to apply to all the API requests that is inside this collection. Okay, suppose for example if I say, like, let's say my name is, let's say, Kunal. Okay, so if you just try to use this same one here. Okay, so suppose if I just put here, let's say I want to put value, and I want to make here Kunal. Okay, sorry, name. So you can see the name is not showing, so it says unresolved variable, because you can see that this value is related to only this API request. But suppose we want that thing to happen throughout this one. Okay, for example I just put the value here, let's say name equals to, let's say, Kunal. Okay, so I just put that in the collection level. If I just save it, now maybe if I just go here and in the parameter, and instead of this, okay, I can just say like name. So you can see name variable. Now the name variable you can see. So why it come? Because we just put that in the collection level. So basically the concept in the collection is that whatever settings you will do in this collection level, if you whatever authentication you will set or anything you will going to do, that will going to apply to all the API requests inside that collection. So that is very powerful, by the way. So this is all about the collection. Okay, in for a beginner's point of view. Let's talk about the variables. Okay, which is kind of a very much important to understand in the Postman. Okay, and this will be probably the last topic. Okay, so right now my friends, always remember that variables can be, you know collection based, okay, environment based. Okay, so these are basically the two ways where you can just use the variable, and of course in the local, okay, and in the data as well, right? So basically variables you can just use it in you know, 4 places. So collections, here you can see it when you will basically whatever collections you have. So if you just go here, you can see this variable feature. And the next option is the environment. What now where you can find environment at the top, you will going to see any environment selected. You can just simply tap here, and here you can just add, or you will see the add option, okay, like this. In my case it's already added, so I can just click on the edit, and from here you can see you can add the variable. And the third option is the local and the data. So we will not going to go with this, okay, for now, because this is just a beginner's guide, so we just want to stick with the main collection and the environment one, okay. So first of all, understand why we use variable. So if you guys will going to notice that in there's one key, okay, we are using, let's say, this key. I'm using this key again and again, okay, everywhere. So suppose if this is one API URL, it is asking me that you just need to provide your key, okay, and token. So guys, the problem is that every time you can see I will have to provide this key like this again, okay, again in the next request I again have to provide the key here as well. So every single time I need to provide the API key like this. And as we have mentioned that maybe in future, maybe we change the API key. So at that time, maybe right now we only have a 3 requests, so not a problem. But if the request list will be, let's say, 100 of the request, so in every request you will go and manually you will just going to replace the key from the key, okay, like this. So it will be very much time taking, right? It will be very much time taking. So instead of that, we can use variable. We can directly define the variable value, like we can say, let's say, access. Okay, wait, let me, okay. Okay. So we can directly define, let's say, access, and what we can do is that we can create one new bottle. Okay, it's like a bottle. Variable means it's like a bottle, and in this bottle, you have basically named this variable name as the access. Okay, so you just name this bottle name as access. Okay, that's it. Now you are saying that inside this bottle you want to put some value, okay, because in bottle you can put water, okay, suppose water or any juice. So similarly, this is right now the empty bottle, okay, suppose this access is the name of the bottle and this bottle is right now empty, and you need to put some water, or I can say some value to this bottle. So what I can do is that I can just put this key value, let's say here. Now the benefit is that now you have done this, you can just save it from the top. Now the benefit is that you can use this anywhere. That means now suppose I want to change this value here, instead of this I just remove this. Okay, now the key value I can directly, let's say, put the access, just put double quotes, and you can just call this, let's say, access. Now you have directly invited this particular value uh, okay, directly to anywhere. Basically you can just call this bottle, okay, or variable value to anywhere you want. So right now we just invited this to the access here. So now in every request you can just directly, instead of providing the key again and again, you can just directly provide the access here like this. Here also you can just, instead of the key, you can just directly provide the access. Okay, so this x whatever variable you call, so that should be in closing, opening and the closing of the curly brackets here. Okay, so what is the benefit? So suppose in future right now you can see the value, access value is this one. It is starting from 9 2 and it is ending with b1. So suppose in future, okay, you can just save them as well. Okay. Mm, okay, and just save this as well. Now just focus here, the access value is now starting from 9 2, and it is ending with b1. So suppose in future we try to change the value. Okay, so suppose instead of b1, let's say it's b6. Now you have got the new value. Okay, so this value, if you will just click on this save button, now this value will automatically going to reflect to the every place. Suppose if I just click on this access here, now you can see automatically it says 6 instead of 1, right? So this is the power. So basically the variable basically helps you to save a lot of time. It basically allow you to create one variable, and it allow you to put one value inside that variable, and that variable you can just call it anywhere. Okay, so that in the future if you want to change maybe any variable, you can directly just change it in the collection level or in the environment level. I will going to talk about the environment level after some time. Okay, but just define that, okay, the variable name, and provide the value to it, and whenever you want to call this variable, you can just call it anywhere, and that will going to work there. Okay, like this. So this is basically power. So this will basically going to save your time. So suppose we have changed it to, let's say, right now 9, and suppose if we don't provide this variable thing, so every time you have to go to the every request, and there you just have to provide the new API key. So it can take a lot of time. Right now we only have a 3 request, but if you will go to more professional, you will going to find people have hundreds and hundreds of requests under one collection. So you may need to change every single time, okay, the value for each request. So that's the reason variables save a lot of time. Okay, now if you will going to notice that we have changed this particular value, okay, particular variable in the collection level. So suppose if I just click on this plus button, and if I try to create maybe some new collection, let's say dummy collection, okay, like this, and inside this dummy collection I can maybe create some value. Let's say I put maybe some XYZ URL, or let's say anything, suppose this one. Okay, now you will going to find that this access is not coming here. Why? Because you have only passed this variable in this collection. You can see this access value is only in this variable. So sorry, in this collection. So whenever in the collection level, wherever you provide any value, so that value will only going to work under that collection only. Okay, or all the requests under that collection. So this is the reason you can see that you have created this. So suppose I just save this request. Let's say it's let's say get dummy one. Okay, it's under the dummy collection over here. So basically here you can still see the parameter, it's not showing. So this is what the variable or I can say collection variable is. Okay, so collection variable will only going to work specifically for that collection. So whatever value you will going to define here, that will only going to work over all the requests under that collection. So what if you want to bring some values that can work in all these collections? So guys, in that case we have to use this environment. So environment will basically going to help you to change anything. For example, if I just go and copy this value, okay, and let's say if I just go to the environment, because here it's not working, you can see the key access is not working. So what I can do is that I can just go to environment. In your case it can be add, in my case it's edit. Now suppose I can just put this value here, okay, new value here, and now I can just write access. Now I can save it. Now if you will just go here, you will see it's solved, and the value is now B9. Okay, that's very powerful, right? So now whenever you define any variable in the environment level, so in that case that particular thing will going to apply to all the collections you have, right? Earlier we were only applying to one particular collection, so that setting is only applying to all the requests under that collection. But there can be some situation where you want to apply all this thing, okay, all these settings to all the collections. So at that time the environment are very helpful. Basically both do the same tasks. It's just about if you just put that to the variable level, it will only apply to the variable level. But if you put to the environment level, that will going to that setting will going to work in all the collections. That's the only difference. And this is what variable is. Okay, very simple, nothing complicated. And my friends, about this locals and datas, let me just teach you what you can do whenever you just create any collection. Okay, so you can basically run that collection from this drop down. You can just run this collection. Okay, from here. Okay, so that will going to fire. So suppose if I just want to run all this thing, let's say 2 times. Okay, you can just run the command line and you can see all will going to get passed. Here you can see unauthorized. Why it's showing unauthorized? Because the value we have changed here right now. It was, I guess, b2 or what, I'm not sure about that. Wait. It was, I guess, b1 or anything. So okay, it was b1. Okay, so suppose if I just save it. Now let's try to run it again. So basically you can just run this collection as well. Okay, okay, it still is showing unauthorized because we changed the request. Okay, the key. Okay, the key, we have defined some different request. So this is the reason it is not showing that. But keep one thing in mind, my friends. Wait, instead of this, let me just change it to key. Save it. Let me also change this to the key. Sorry, it's token and it will be the key. Okay, now what I am doing, you just do not worry about that. Okay, uh, here it's okay. Now here we just have to put at the key. That's it. Now let's try to run it again. So basically you can just run all the collection. We will not going to go here right now, so just click on the 2 and you can see now it's showing 200 200 and get bot and it has auto deleted that code. Okay, so what it is, we will not going to talk about that, but you can just run whatever request you have under any collection all at once from here, run collection. Now we do not want to go to this automation and all because these are all the advanced topic and you do not have to focus there right now. But as a beginner's guide, we just taught you about the workspace. Okay, and we just covered about how you can send the request, delete any request, and so on. Okay, and basically in particular case, okay, here you can see we just taught about JSON and XML collections, variables. Okay, a lot of very basic topics. We just taught you about the base URL endpoints, the difference. Okay, and so on. And we also just shared with you the free API guide. So we basically given you a lot of values for free. Okay, so this is what it is. And if you still wants to gain more knowledge about all this thing, so it will be my suggestion that basically there are a lot of things like you can just run the Postman directly from the terminal. Okay, whatever, if you're a window user, so you have a command prompt. If you're a Mac user, you have a terminal. So directly from terminal you can just run the Postman. So these are some advanced things. Now another advanced thing is about the automation and runner, how it's helpful and so on. So all these things are advanced level. So this is the reason, as per the beginner's guide, we just do not want to cover each one of them. And the Trello example you are saying is the real API key. Okay, and in case if you are interested, okay, to learn, let's say, about API and all, and if you want to gain a good amount of knowledge in real practical example how to use the real company API, it can be, let's say, OpenAI. Okay, it can be the OpenAI company. So if you want to just go with the real example, okay, how to use, let's say, their API key with the Postman, or let's say if you want to use Trello. Okay, Trello is a very popular, easy to manage, the team project. Okay, so if you want to work with, let's say, real life example with this particular API of this Trello with your Postman. So these are some advanced topic, and for that we suggest you guys to just go to KuKu courses, click on enter, just go to this courses. Okay, and once you go there, just click on this courses and just search for API, click on enter, and here you will going to notice we have this 10 hours 30 minutes course, and this course is totally practical. So right now we just covered about the basics, but in this course you will going to cover a lot of things from basic to medium level to at the advanced level about Postman. You will going to learn about the scripts, pre-requests, authorizations, and each and every topic you can basically cover inside this particular course. Okay, and not only this course, if you just see to our website, we have a lot of amazing courses from building website to turning your WordPress into a SaaS business, okay, with ChatGPT and OpenAI API keys, email marketing courses, and plenty of amazing other courses we do have, like medium course, affiliate marketing course, search engine course, and you can just basically go to more pages and you will going to find a lot of amazing courses we have. And in case if you want to learn really about the OpenAI example with the Postman, so just search for API and you will going to see one course which we have here, which is this one. You can see ChatGPT, API, and Postman. So if you want to learn about how to use OpenAI API key with your Postman, with the real life example with the Postman, so this will be the course you should go with. So basically all the courses which we offer, you can see it's under our membership. So if you just click on this membership, we have a two plans, yearly plan and the lifetime plan. So in case if you're interested, you can just go with the lifetime plan. Okay, it will just going to cost you $99, and this is what we recommend. And the best thing is that you can get 50% discount in this lifetime plan. So just watch this video and you will get the idea how to purchase this lifetime plan with the 50% discount. Okay, and we also recommend that before you purchase our this offer, make sure you watch this video like you purchase in e-commerce website. The same procedure is, but still we recommend people to watch this video before purchasing. Okay, and also you will come to know how to get 50% discount in this lifetime plan. Okay, so this is what we recommend. We have the powerful library as well, AI tools as well, which you can use for your productivity. But after you will going to get the membership, you can basically be able to access all the courses from our website. And in case in future also, whenever we launch the new courses, you can also get the access to those courses as well. So kind of a very powerful membership website we have at a very affordable price. You can just enjoy the amazing courses we have in our website, and our courses always gets updated. So if you're interested, you can also check out our website. But this is all about how you can just use the Postman. And let me tell you that this is just a beginner's guide. So for the beginners, all these topics are important which we have taught you. We have just shared the resources with you, how to get the API and what API is. So basically with our free courses, you will, which we have recommended you from our website, so you will basically learn about APIs, okay, what are server clients and API keys and authentications, base URL endpoints, HTTP method, API testing, status codes, and a lot of things we basically taught you, okay, in this free course. And this is basically the enough from the beginner's point of view. But if you really want to go with the real life examples, these courses and the API courses which we have shared you will be a good choice for you. So just make sure that you explore our website, by the way. But this is all about this free course about the Postman.